you have been doing this longer than I've been alive. And you haven't given up. Why haven't you given up? What has kept you going?
It's funny to say this again.
Why does it make this again?
It's funny. I think that I was lucky, first of all, to find that I was truly gifted. I think that is really important, and that to really embrace that gift, to know that, discover one's gift and then embrace it, and I call that being duty. And once one commits to it, one's being duty, then it's not about money, it's not about anything except doing it unto death. And being duty is really, really an important aspect to individuation and becoming fully realized as a being.
You seem to have been as almost as unconcerned about the outside world, how people responded to it, if people responded to it, if people gave you any money, if you would survive or not, the same as you're unconcerned about it today, when our life has really changed and that you don't have to concern yourself about those things. You never seem to have concerned yourself with those things. You've just been doing it. Just keep doing it. Even as your wife, I don't really, I think I understand now more than I ever did. But it's just an amazing aspect to you.
Is there a question?
Also, you're just such a relaxed individual.
I am?
You really chill, and you're very agreeable.
I don't think so.
You are. Where does that come from?
I don't think so.
Yes, you do.
I don't know. I think it was basically my mother was so controlling and so that I had to really just be used to her way, and in the middle of that, I also discovered that I'm a really, really special kind of caretaker, and that I don't know what that came from, but it's Harriet became a nurse, and nursing is a caretaking profession. But what I do in music is sort of caretaking. It's a sort of a devotion to spiritual caretaking and caretaking the world from an etheric place, whereas not from a physical place. And I take that really seriously, and because of that, I also am very critical of doctors, because I think that doctors should work on tips. I think a doctor is an artist of body health, and they should, just like I work for tips, they should work for tips, because there's a conflict of interest. The doctor's working for a fee, they're going to try to make you sick, or they're going to give you information so that you feel sick, rather than trying to make you feel better, because it makes them more money for you to be sick. And that's a problem. And that's not what Hippocrates wanted. So I think of myself as that, and my father was a doctor, so it's very interesting that I have this thing, the music and doctor. My father was an extremely generous doctor, and my mother as a musician, so and now I feel like I'm like this sound doctor. And I don't call myself a sound healer because it's too cliche and trendy, and people just put a bunch of sounds together that are kind of inert, and then they claim all sorts of things about the frequency, and this does that. In actuality, it's these beautiful melodies that come from the heart, that are projected from the heart in a way that are so unconscious, that are the most healing qualities of music.
You seem to not concern yourself with the outside world at all in regards to success, fame, money, recognition. Does that ever bother you? Does any of that stuff, do you ever think about that?
I do. I wonder that I don't do that. But I think that when I was when I was so young and people were yelling at us and cursing our family out, that I realized that I didn't realize then, but I was so separated from the society at large because of their mistreatment of us, that as I grew older and I saw that it was really society, and I learned that it was society and not myself, then I realized that it was really not I could not, it would be a very difficult path to try to convince them that I'm all right, that I'm not a monster, that my race is not a horror, and all of that. So I kind of separated from it.
At a younger age?
At a very young age, and then I just stayed separated, and then I found Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell and all of the mythology, the mythic spiritual mythologers, and they really helped me open up to my mythos in a sense, and that was really special and important. And I had a teacher who really helped me understand that, and that's, of course, that's I think where I really coalesced this notion of being duty. Yes.
Yes.
My sweetie she's serious.
I'm trying to remember my questions.
So you could like this.
It still blows my mind that, I mean, to the majority of society, you may be seen as a failure. You may be seen as a loser and a freak and a totally insane person because you're doing something in a deeper way than most people. You've never done this thing that you've done because you wanted attention, right?
I don't know.
Have you ever don't you ever think about you would like people to love what you do and love to be recognized? And
I do, and that would be lovely. And there's a part of me that does wish that I was more loved.
Does it ever bother you or make you sad sometimes?
Yes, it makes me sad sometimes.
Does it take you over?
But it doesn't destroy my my intent, and I'll go through those moments where I'm really sad about it. And,
I know.
we'll go through a spate. It's like just recently a bunch of people have said that they like us, but I'm not so invested in their liking us, because that investment has in the past been so betrayed by people. Many people have said very loving and embracing things, and after a certain period of time they have disappeared or said not nice things or
turned around and said they hated us.
Yeah.
No wonder you're alone and all that.
So it's in the investment in this expression is almost useless. What truly means something is what you did, and that was when you stepped up, when you just came that Saturday, and you and even though you fell down the stairs when you came to me, you fell down into the pit. And that you didn't climb out again. And since then you see that nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
And it's like I'm not going, don't.
No, you're not saying oh don't come near me. Even though it seems like even though you've let go of your need for anyone to understand you, it's created in you the ability to be one of the most iconoclastic artists that I still know today, and very brave and very warrior-like, and still, even in your older years, you're still very like, I'm going to do this thing, and this is me. And I think it's just something that's very different from basically anybody else. Most everybody else does something with the intention of they want to get famous, they want to get rich, they want to get something, they want to receive something. Whereas you've just kind of very dedicatedly done this thing, and then attracted someone to you who believed in what you were doing, one person, and is able to, loves you enough to take care of you, and you're very accepting of the way things are. It bothers you sometimes that, we're unknown and people don't really care about what you've done, that it all is just floated away with the wind, with the breeze. But most of the time you're just very in your space and doing your thing. It's really admirable. And it's helped me to be who I am. It's taken me my whole life to let go of the need for other people to praise us and pay attention to us and love us.
Well, I guess the parents is the hardest one. The parents have... that was a boom. The parents, I would say that I had always wanted my mother to accept my work, to recognize what I had achieved in doing in such a kinetic way of playing. But people don't really even notice the kinetic aspect. They see all the movement, but they don't realize that part of that moving in that way is the kinetic playing. When I jump in the air, I'm kinetically creating a sound by jumping in the air, and I cannot actually do that without jumping in the air. And that was actually one of my things with your father's recording. He actually pinned me down in a way because he doesn't understand that aspect.
You need space.
Yeah, I need to move.
Yeah, I've been watching the clips from the vlog the last few days, and you are just so kinetic. You're moving. And I can see in my performance that I tend to be more still, because from my childhood, I grew up feeling that, all I really need to do is stand there and sing. And that is still in me, whereas you just have this, you're so performative and so, you're very focused on the beats of the music. Like you go, oh, oh, oh.
That's me.
It's amazing. It really is amazing.
But people don't really know that. It's like with a lot of performers, they're just doing a technical motion thing.
Yeah.
All of those line dancers behind.
But even with like my dad and with his band, he would make movements based on what other rock musicians.
Yes, he copied somebody.
Yeah, it's like copy and paste. But like watching those little clips of you just being so committed in your movements, it really inspires me. And you're not in a theater. You don't have spotlight shining on you. You're not.
I had a spotlight. The sun was there.
The sun was
beautiful.
the spotlight.
Yes.
I mean,
I love that.
it's just, but still, you are singing in the middle of a public space with a bunch of people who are not understanding.
I can't tell. Yeah, I don't know what they. But in my mind, I don't take a negative thing towards them. I have a neutral perception of them, because I don't know what's going on for them, and I let them be, or with me, or with us, exactly the way they need to be. And suddenly, an example of that is that one or a couple of those people now have been speaking to us in this kind of odd tone,
reverent way.
and
we never know.
We had no idea he was there.
No. If I look back at the vlog, I might have seen him, maybe. That he was just one of those faces. And I find that I'm not even really singing for anybody anymore. I'm really just doing it for myself, and whatever it is I need to do. But it's taking me my whole life to get to that place. But I still feel like when I'm playing with you that I'm watching you and just going, how is he doing this? Still. I feel like I've been doing that all the time I've been playing with you, is I'm performing with you, but I'm also like going, God damn, it's amazing. Fuck. He's like jumping in the air and flinging himself onto the ground and twirling around and just
kneeling
to me and being so romantic, and it's like there's nobody there, or they're not, the people who are watching it, they're not committed to it, they're not interested, we're not making any money,
It's funny, huh?
you're not gaining basically any physical thing at all from doing this so committed.
And when I'm finished, I'm exhausted beyond belief.
Yes.
I can barely walk up the stairs.
Yeah, and you choose to be really committed in it, but it's so beautiful.
And I also believe that wherever we pray for him and wherever I pray for him creates a etheric vortex, and the repetition of pray for him there with this kind of intent, with this kind of commitment, creates a place of extraordinary glory. I feel like it is present there for those who in the future would be able to sense it.
But it's this mystical, magical, etheric thing
Yeah,
that you...
I don't no proof at all.
There's no proof at all. Only my little camera that's documenting it, but even that doesn't
But
capture
I believe
it.
Yeshua knew this.
Yeah.
And I think that this whole notion is something that people knew earlier, a long time ago, and then as money, in this certain sense, has taken over so largely, because it really has built this society around us, it becomes the prime reason for doing anything, and the intent has shifted towards money, and that does not create anything at all, and actually creates a very problematic thing.
Well, my observation in being in a close proximity with you all the time and observing the world around us and seeing how, and it can really get to me personally, because I can sometimes beat my head into the wall until it's bloody, looking at the way society highlights and praises and worships people that have gained lots of fame and lots of money and lots of attention, and
they gain respect.
Respect, and they're not good people. It's like
some of them are not.
Yeah, I don't really know if there's such a thing as a really good rich person who's, has focused their whole intent in their lives on making money. Money is a neutral thing. Money is not bad or good. It's how it's used. Because I have money and I'm using it for good, because I'm using it to support you in sharing this work. But I'm, especially now that I do have some money, I'm looking around us and saying, does anybody else use money in a good, noble way? People who sit around and do nothing, just sit on their asses and do absolutely nothing, have tons of money. People who are greedy and selfish, self-serving, and just totally ego-driven, are very famous and successful. That's what I see all around me. And because I'm younger than you, I think it has bothered me a lot more than it does bother you.
It's even more so, because there wasn't a beautiful intent, and that was when I was young. It was racial equality, helping the racial segregation and everything. And now what has happened is the causes have changed. There's the green cause, and people are very vague about what that means. Because I see a lot of the green cause being hypocritical, because there's, like, Burning Man is supposedly for a certain cause, but in the same time they're polluting that environment, that desert region, with sound that's out of place. They never clean it up. They leave this electronic, over-amplified sound there, just like trash. And they don't even think about it, and most people don't think about it.
They don't think about it, no.
And I do.
Yeah, and I do too, because I'm just like, I feel like I'm being bludgeoned with a hammer when that kind of punch, horrible sound is happening. But through watching you over this long period of time, and seeing how you have been ostracized and you have been ignored and you have been pushed aside, and really the only reason that you can survive is because I love you enough to make sure you can. It just boggles my mind that I do believe that if there were more people living this way that you live, humbly, gently, moving through spaces, just being humble and good and doing something that's noble from yourself, that the world would be a better place.
Instantaneously.
If everyone just did their own being duty for themselves, something that they loved and they believed in, with the intention to not cause harm, not cause damage to anyone else.
If Allah searches moral, existential thing, if everybody did what you did, would the world be better?
Yeah, or worse. Right. So that helps me with the practice of the way we live, is that if other people lived this way, if we had the whole world living this way, and it's not saying that how we live is better. You know, I'm not like sticking my nose up and saying like I know our way is better than anyone else's. Everyone has their own way of living, but just watching you, having been so humble and so noble and so good in the way that you've shared your gifts, and that you've never really asked anybody for anything, and you have everything you need anyway. It shows me and the people that really love you and respect you, it shows those people and me that it's possible. That you can be a good person, live a good life, and live and thrive.
Yeah, sometimes I do want people to be, I guess it's gentler towards my being because I've achieved a certain thing.
Well, you tend to get sad sometimes about people's lack of kindness.
Yeah, their lack
you.
of kindness towards me.
Yeah.
It makes me because if I, for instance, had some kind of, which is why I don't talk about the Academy Award much, because what I do itself speaks for itself. It's the Academy, the movie is what it is, but what truly is this thing I do, and it's really difficult to go into environments and have a certain type of treatment that is kind of deprecatory and
Demeaning.
yeah, and rather than and neutral would be fine too, just be, but sometimes it's deprecatory and demeaning, and that makes me sad.
I know. And because you lead from a very clear heart direction, you definitely feel that other people are leading from that place too, and most people don't. Most people are very, very self-interested, self-serving, and you give people the benefit of the doubt to a fault, where you'll give so much of yourself until they show that they really aren't interested in supporting you, and then you'll completely back away.
Yeah, that is a thing that is a thing I didn't realize I did as much as until we came together and you actually observed it. And, that for a while I'll be people's caretakers. I'll take care of them. I'll do things for them they won't even know that I'm doing, and then they'll show that demeaning, deprecatory thing towards me, and that's the end of it. It's happened quite a while.
Yeah, I think
it happened to me and my mother, I think.
Yeah, it did. Eventually you realized that she didn't respect you and didn't see you, and so you just completely left, moved away.
Completely left.
You did, and she didn't
I
like
went
that.
I went with a young lady who respected me.
Yes. So I think it's just I am sharing all these things of our life and talking to you and asking you questions and things just because I want to highlight the way that you have lived and the way that we live as not as being something that's very good, and I think it can help a lot of people to know how you've maintained doing it and not given up. It really is amazing to me.
Yep.